We'll do it live.
We'll do it live.
Oh man.
What's up? And welcome to Street Smart Christian. I am again joined by my esteemed colleagues, Antone Sellers, Brandon Mestis, and Kevin Mestis. It's good to see Kevin. It's good to see Kevin back.
Did you even forget my name?
No, I'm just glad that you're here and you got through your procedure with no flaws, flawless procedure.
Bro.
Dude, it's okay that we talk about it. We all prayed about it this week, and hair transplants are not a joke. They are not a joke.
I did not have hair transplant.
It's all right. You know, we all prayed about it.
Hey man, I got spit roasted. It's not funny, okay?
Brandon donated some of his hair on his dome piece over there, and
Yeah, I got a lot of it.
yeah, it's all right. We all go through things. We all go through lots of things. Wow.
Did you hear that?
Mhm.
You can hear it all.
Brandon, what's been going on this week?
This week, I've been for the show. What I've been doing for the show?
I mean, what have you just been doing
Oh
in your
man,
life?
It's a trick question.
I've
by the
been
way.
I've been working
Okay.
on cars and also working on the podcast.
How about you, Antone?
I'm getting ready for Night to Shine this Friday.
Oh, yeah.
What's
Open up
up?
with the Tim Tebow Foundation puts
Oh, yeah,
on
that's right.
a dance and a special night, an event for people with special needs or disabilities.
Mhm.
And so I volunteered to help with that here in Colorado Springs. And
Nice.
then besides that, I've been working on flight school. That's about been my life.
Where's that happening in the Springs?
So there's like 3 or 4 locations in Colorado Springs. One of them is on the outskirts of Falcon. And so that's where I'm going to be going. It's called Core Community Church. And that's where I'll be helping out. That's my location.
Man, Anton has such a cooler life than we do. This is way more eventful.
I mean, maybe speak for yourself there, bud.
What about you, Kevin? What's been on your week?
Okay.
Okay, moving on.
Anyway,
I scripted that in my head all day.
Good job. It went
It's like,
well.
Okay.
what about you, Adam?
I didn't do nothing. Painting this church. You can finish with your
Oh
story.
yeah, look at the walls. Look
Yeah,
at
we
the
have
room.
a little bit. So everybody's
are
going to
we?
notice we're in our own Street Smart office, studio,
Studio office.
room. The church is graciously off. Well, I think we kind of just took it over anyways.
Yeah.
But they call it our room now. So
Street Smart
I
Christian.
painted the walls today. I painted the ceiling today. This is going to be our little headquarters, and we're in a growing process. So bear with us. I know that
Yeah, I don't-
whiteboard here is shiny, and
I don't like this.
people are
seating
complaining
arrangement.
apparently about our lighting. He doesn't like. This is why he's getting hair transplants.
Hey, at least you're over there. I'm still by the dumpster by this brick wall over here.
Yeah, he's outside. That's why. That's a brick wall outside of the church.
Yeah.
Brandon is outside. He suffers
How
from a
is it-
disorder that he screams out obscenities, so we have to keep him outside.
It's called
And-
Tourette's, bro.
I know. I know
Andy
what it's
refuses
called.
to shower. We
Yeah.
just
And that
too.
too. Yeah.
Sorry. I'm stinky.
So what's been going on, Kev? Before we get into the topic.
Not a whole lot.
Good. Sometimes it's better that way.
No, I think it's been good, man. I mean, my son's been doing better.
Good.
A couple days in a row.
Good.
So that's always a positive thing and a nice teachable moment for fathers out there. And when your kids are struggling, when you have someone to lean on like Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
it helps not only you but your child too, you know. I don't know how parents do it without that, without Christ. Because I like that's my go-to, and it's not like it's a cop out or nothing, but it's like, you know, you tell your kids that, hey, I'm not always going to be able to be there.
Right.
You know, I'm not there with you at school. I'm not, you know, always going to be able to help you out, but Jesus is with you all the time.
Yeah.
Amen.
Like you teach that to a 6-year-old, and if it sticks, man, it's for life. You know.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
So-
he said something to me the other day on the phone. It was along the lines of like our family has Jesus, and he said that's why families are good because they have Jesus. And I said, yeah, when there's Jesus involved, you know, that's a good thing. I said, unfortunately, not all families have that, but it's something that's very important. He seems to know that that's like the foundation, you know.
Yeah, I think it's important.
Mm-hmm.
I do have something going on that I guess I can ask prayer for from all of our prayer warriors.
Come on,
Chose that
today
word.
already, Adam.
I looks like I could possibly have an opportunity to pursue a career with the FCA. I know Antone knows Sherry Carr. She reached out to me, and I was applying first for an advisor role, which is a volunteer role, and we got to talking.
Does that mean you give advice?
Yeah, you kind of helps you're a part of the big events that they have, the Fields of Faith and rodeo camps and stuff like that. You attend meetings, and
what's a
then you
rodeo
also
camp?
I don't know, I haven't been to one. But they also help raise funds. They go out there to get the word spread out, and it was put on my heart to ask her about what career opportunities look like with the FCA. She said, absolutely, there are full-time positions and staff positions.
That's
And
that's
what
exciting.
she said, dude. She's like, you know, God works in amazing ways, man.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause you were driven to call her.
Yeah, because I was going originally for the advisor role or what I think it's called advisory board or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because she asked for volunteers for more volunteers for that when I went to that banquet dinner, and I thought about it and I told Kaylee, you know, that'd be kind of cool to take on a bigger role in FCA. And then I was like, hey, I've also been thinking about this as a career. Like, what are some career opportunities? And she said, there's definitely opportunities. And we actually think that you would be an awesome fit anyway. So apply. I showed you the email where she said we were super excited to have you want to be a part of staff.
Yeah.
They'll send me to Kansas City, Missouri
KC.
for the rest of my life.
No.
So I'm just kidding. For training.
Looks like Street Smart Christian's going on the road. Ready to fly us?
You guys,
Taking a road
yeah,
show.
you ready to fly?
Yep.
So that's an opportunity. So keep that in. If any, you know, I don't ask for a whole lot of prayers, but this is definitely a big step for me. Moving from what I'm been currently doing. I mean, it's a whole new
Bro,
atmosphere because
it's
it's,
been about
not
time.
right. Well, it's not construction anymore.
Get out of the construction life.
The construction life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I've been out of it for almost 5 years, I think.
Yeah.
I don't, you know, I still work partially with it.
Right.
I'm not in the laborer side of it, so
Right.
you know, it's a great place to have ministry, but
Yeah.
you know, if you're going to be with FCA, that's reaching children, and
Well, it just opens up a whole bunch of doors.
yeah, it only strengthen your faith too, and
Right.
your knowledge of the Lord, and you got to press into Him even more now
Mm-hmm.
because you know that's a higher calling. pastoral level. You know what I mean? Where
Mm-hmm.
you know you guys are
Well, and
you
I just
judge more
like,
harshly. You know.
I just like working with a lot of different people. And then this year I got the opportunity. Our pastor texted me this morning and asked if I would like to take on the role of speaker at VBS this year, because the people that typically come are unfortunately not able to do it this year. So Living Word is actually going to put on VBS themselves. We got a curriculum already, and they want me to kind of be like what Steve was, Antone,
Mm-hmm.
the guy who talks.
That's awesome. That's really good.
I'm
That'll be fun.
going to go ahead and volunteer Brandon and Kevin that week.
But him,
And well, he might be in flight school.
He might be flying.
I'm afraid I will be. There's a lot of typical summer activities that I won't be able to.
Yeah, that's in
Participate.
June. It'll be about the second to third week in June.
I should be around.
See, and so we'll get Brandon a background check.
what does that mean?
Everybody that volunteers for anything in the church is supposed to do a background check.
Oh,
Okay, never mind. I won't be around that week. Nah, I'm in the clear.
On Sunday, I thought I could give everybody a little food for thought.
Hey, very quickly, does FCA, does it stop at high school or does it?
No, it goes into college.
Oh, it does.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
it's
my sister's a part of the Collegiate FCA at
oh,
UK.
okay.
it's called Collegiate FCA.
Is it like a different division of FCA?
It's just probably a little more advanced than high school.
Yeah,
Cool.
I think it's more so student led,
Oh,
right?
cool.
Because I know the FCA at Cowhan, right? It was very student led, but we still had mentors, right?
Mm.
I believe, and I could be wrong because I kind of just
I think you're right
Talking
on
off
that,
what I
Anton.
see.
I think it's definitely 100% student led because they're technically adults.
right. Because I believe the lady who was the leader of Emmy's FCA I think she was a thrower on the track team at UK.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
But then where would somebody like you come in then?
So what I would do is be in a staff position to kind of do what the lady, what's her name?
The lady.
Yeah, it's all right.
Who
I
are
had
you
a bit of a
talking
bra-
to?
Just had a brain fart. I was talking to Antone.
Oh,
Sherry Carr.
That's why you don't-
She's a part-time employee there, but what she does is she's the Eastern Plains director, and so she puts on classes. She goes school to school to put on little events or come check out how things are going. Sets up the different curriculums that schools do. Like I said, does events like Fields of Faith.
Oh,
It's all high school, camps and stuff like that. Puts those on, does video training and stuff like that. So
that's cool.
it would I don't know 100% what a full-time staff employee does,
Right.
but I'm sure it's a lot of that going around to different schools out here. So it sounds like I could come into a role that would help her out. Because the footprint she has is from Lamar to Strasburg
Wow.
to all that. So
Buena
she
Vista.
tries to hit, and that's all the high schools in between.
Right. That's
Not
a lot
all the way
for
to Buena Vista. That wouldn't make sense because that's not a part of the Eastern Plains.
that's a lot for one person though.
All right, buddy.
Makes sense. They need.
It
some
is.
backup.
So I mean, but then again, I don't know because there's different opportunities. They said there's opportunities and things like what we do with editing,
Hmm.
putting together social media stuff. It's just whatever the Lord, whatever doors He opens, I now need to be brave enough to go through those doors.
Mhm.
trust him, bro.
Put 100% of everything. My wife has been a huge support in saying that because we all have the fear of failing, and we all have the fear of not being able to support
FOMO.
or do anything. And so she said, if you fail, you're right back to where you are right now.
Right.
You know, I've been laid off since October, so
What do you got to lose?
I'm not, yeah.
See, and I think another way to look at it is kind of because just by asking the questions, you open the doors.
Mhm.
And so I think it's our job as people to open the doors and let God close them.
If he wants. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Or keep it
dude.
open. Okay.
Just depending on what he wants for us, he will close the doors that he doesn't want us to go through.
You're trusting in him.
Yeah.
You might get some doors slammed in your face.
I know I have.
I have
I
too.
definitely have. But
That's
it's
why my
working
nose
out
is
for the
broken.
best.
No, it's exciting, Adam.
It's
No, that's
exciting.
awesome.
So we'll definitely keep everybody updated on that path, what the Lord's got going for me.
Yeah.
But
Good stuff. Good stuff.
but it's definitely opening the door for me to what my ultimate goal is to make a living in the ministry, whether that's evangelism or
Prison ministry.
prison. Or, you know, it just opens the door for even what we do with the youth here. So many more opportunities and tools.
Would
to
you
use.
consider prison ministry like missionary work?
Not if you get, I mean, when you're in there, maybe, but not, you don't say, I'm taking a missions trip to prison. Like, hey guys, I'm going to sell this crack. Why? Because I need to do a missions trip to prison.
Have you seen the God Behind Bars ministry though?
I know
I've
Victor
seen
Marks
some,
was a
I
part
don't
of
know.
it.
But
It
I
is
know, like,
awesome.
So
Rick-
cool,
It
dude.
is
Rick,
so
you-
cool.
our pastor had a ministry where he went to prisons once a week and played music, gospel.
Yeah. What'd you say it was called?
It's called God Behind Bars. So the church I went to up in Denver is a big supporter of it. I know it's a big thing all across the country. It's powerful. Now they got it. They're all over social media. It's really neat.
Dude, he always has cool things to talk
Shout
about.
out to God Behind Bars, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing some amazing stuff.
And I want to give another quick shout out to Celebrate Recovery. They started sharing some of our stuff.
There's another
And-
great
and not
ministry.
just Celebrate Recovery in Arizona, but the actual Celebrate Recovery.
What are you doing, bro?
So with that being said, you know, the food for thought that I gave you guys, if you guys put any thought about this, how do we navigate this crazy life, this crazy world as young Christian men, trying to keep the faith, number one, trying not to get too discouraged, and spreading the gospel in what seems to be like a failing world.
Yeah.
In a world where it seems like what we have to say isn't gonna matter. Like, what does it matter? It's just junk all over. And how do you navigate through that? I mean, we can each take a little time. I think for me, it's a little different, probably navigating through things than it is for Brandon, or even for Antone.
Did you say
I
difficult
think
or different?
different navigating through things. I think Kevin and I have been in this ministry for a few years together now. So we've kind of went through the weeds of what we feel, and we've so far been pretty much on the same page. We've had personal talks together where we're things that might be bothering us, where we've come to conclusions. But what do you guys see in this chaos? And how do you keep your faith?
Yeah, I mean, I think in today's age, like everything has become, you know, the world is going towards accepting so many things. And, you know, we know that a lot of those things are against, you know, the Lord's words in the Bible. So I think just right off the bat, if people are like, oh, if you're a Christian and you're not one of those types of Christians or like
That's
those,
accepting of everything.
right? Or like we talked about in previous podcasts where like picking and choosing and like if you're only picking what you want to believe and not believing the whole Bible, like then you immediately get labeled as like this judgmental person because everybody
Hypocrite,
else
yeah.
in the world is saying, hey, no, this stuff is okay. And you're saying it's not okay because the Bible says that. Well, you're judging other people. And so it's a weird thing where it's just immediately, oh, you're Christian, you're labeled as judgmental, you're labeled as, that you're not supporting all these movements that are happening and all this stuff. And it's just I can see how it would get, it's kind of scary to be a Christian because we're the minority, we're standing up for what we believe in, and that's going against what the world is saying. Then all of a sudden we become the outcasts. I don't know. I feel like it's just, what's the word? You didn't want to get, I can't think of the word.
Ostracized.
Well, no, but, you said it at the beginning of the podcast of how we don't get discouraged.
Oh yeah, discouraged.
That was close.
Ostracized.
Ostracized.
I was so close, man.
Yeah, no, I understand. And especially where you came from, Brandon. You came from Fort Collins, which is fairly liberal.
I would say very liberal.
Okay, and very
Any college town really will be.
right. So you had to deal with a lot of not necessarily the violence or that part of craziness, but you've probably witnessed a lot of the more protesting craziness of things that are not biblical.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you'd see it all the time on campus, even
Yeah.
before all this started. This was back in like 2015
Mm-hmm.
when maybe it was like just beginning to start, but now it's
Mhm.
a whole different animal. And I haven't been on campus during all that stuff,
Mm.
but I could only imagine because it was already, it was cool that it's a free speech plaza there in the
Mm.
middle of the campus. So there was always somebody standing up. They even had this big old stump, and they call it the free speech stump, where you can get up on the stump and just say whatever you want. So there was there was always like either crazy people there, or there was people trying to share the word about Jesus.
Mm.
But there was just always something wild going on, and then just even the politics up there it's a very liberal, ever changing thing.
You know what I think the most crazy, like, new age protest and division that we see is like the war in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
We see people, saying free Palestine and
Supporting a terrorist
supporting
organization.
Hamas.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude,
Wild.
it blows my mind because if you actually do research, like you actually dig in and you just like figure out what's going on, and you try to take I think it's called bipartisan view, right? You're not for one side or the other. You're gonna look at it and you're gonna see clear as day who the bad guys are.
Mhm.
But then the world, our news media and colleges and it's everywhere with just the opposite. And
Yeah.
it's just crazy that stuff is so widely accepted,
Mhm.
And another one is like just the immorality in like the music industry. You got these famous rappers and these chicks and they're naked on TV, and
Mm.
you think back to like Janet Jackson when
Oh
she
yeah,
had that
the
Super Bowl
wardrobe
malfunction, and everyone was like, that was the biggest scandal ever. Now they just got their chichis hanging out everywhere.
So I
dude.
haven't, I don't. It used to be
Like,
one
it's
of
for
my,
real. It's crazy, man. And everyone's just like, oh, this is normal.
It used to be one of my most favorite things to do as a kid was to watch the award shows,
Really?
especially the
Like what? The Grammys
or like the CMAs.
or MTV?
or the MTV Music Awards.
I like those.
Yeah, those. The Grammys I never was really into because there was so many genres of things that I'm
Yeah, it's just like, what is this even about?
Yeah.
What are they celebrating?
but
Yeah.
I watch clips on social media that come through on the Grammys. And I'm like, this is what acceptable.
What is this?
And,
What
and,
is
and I know
this,
that
dude?
makes us sound old, but I was talking to my father-in-law about that today, and I'm like, in 30 years, in just 30 years, this world has gone insane. In my lifetime, I have seen it to where homosexuality was still somewhat closeted and not accepted as it is now. There was no transgender. There was no kids using litter boxes in their school bathrooms.
That poor janitor
There was
who
no
cleans up after the
there
human
was
cat
no
person.
two men holding hands skipping through the flowers talking about a medication
Yeah.
that protects them from getting AIDS
Now it's
Oh, yeah,
plastered
the
everywhere.
commercials.
so they can have gay sex. I mean, there was none of this. I asked my father-in-law, I said, could you imagine if back when you were a kid and your dad brought in, I mean, back then possibly their first TV that they've ever had. One TV that went in the living room, 3 channels, you know?
Black and white.
Yeah. And
Is that how old your dad is?
well, no, my father-in-law, he's 65.
Okay.
So when
Yeah,
he was a
and he
kid,
was growing
little
up
kid,
on a ranch.
yeah, and they didn't have running
out in the
water
middle of
until he
nowhere,
was 6.
you know? Outhouse, all that.
So he brings in a TV, and I said, could you imagine if the first thing he turned on was 2 guys kissing?
That TV would have been thrown
He
out the
would have,
window.
oh yeah, he would have
Yeah.
burned it down, and they never would have got another TV.
Yeah.
But now that's everywhere.
Right.
I mean, I remember, and
It's honestly heartbreaking.
I remember it being that it was a big deal to see, and this is not a big deal, but it was, biracial relationships on TV. And people were like, what?
Really?
Now, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing scripturally wrong with biracial relationships.
Yeah.
But however, that was what people were going. And I remember, and I told my father-in-law, it was this morning we were talking about it. I said, do you remember when the biggest problem that everybody had on TV was Elvis Presley shaking his hips? That was the biggest issue.
Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I was not old enough. I was born in the 80s. Elvis had already died.
Dang.
But that
That's
was
true.
the biggest controversial issue, and they thought that was unbiblical, that he was shaking his hips on national TV.
Wow.
Those same people, put him in front of the TV today, will have cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
It's insane. But I don't know. What are your thoughts, Antone? What are you seeing?
I, I've talked about this with my parents too. Just my little brother will never experience even the childhood I had,
No.
right? Because, same thing. I remember growing up, there's a guy in town who dressed up like a girl and you thought, oh man, there's something wrong with him. You just felt bad. And, you just felt bad for him. You go, oh, it's all right. There's something wrong with him. But now you see it everywhere and it's being shoved down our throats that we have to think that is right. They are in the right. They know what they're doing. But you can't tell me that they do, right? And like my little brother, he will grow up in this exact scenario that we're talking about. In my earlier years, I knew what I think is normal. But even just like you said, in the last 30 years, it's changed so much. I don't even necessarily know what's normal. But it's like,
It's so easy to get lost in, dude.
Mhm.
it is.
It's
It
gotta
If you
absolutely
don't
is.
have this,
Right.
you're lost, dude. That's what the world is right now. You see it in these commercials. You see it everywhere. It's accepted. Nobody goes to Christ for anything anymore.
Mm-mm.
Right.
Not even people that claim to be Christian.
Right.
And, you know, I'm guilty of it because in those moments, I think I can control the situation and I can make it happen the way I picture it in my head. And I'm forgetting to go to Christ. You know what I mean? It's so easy to do unintentionally
Mm-hmm.
that, yeah, you know, our kids that we're raising.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I worry for my son every day, and I have to pray and surrender every day. Lord, he's in your hands. You're gonna get him through it. And I tell him, like, pray every day, son. Like I said at the beginning of this, I'm not always gonna be there, you know, and you know, you gotta rely on Christ that he's always there, man. But I guess it's easier said than done.
Do you guys remember, and it's different for everybody, but and the only reason I bring this up is because of the blockers that they have, but the puberty thing, when you were growing up, you almost couldn't wait to go through that because then, I mean, the
be a
process
man.
of it
I'm
was
gonna be a
not
man now.
fun, but yeah, because then you were going to start growing facial hair.
Oh,
No.
shit.
Your voice was going to get
Dude,
deeper.
Brandon
I never hit puberty.
No, it's fine. It's
doesn't have.
why he's not on camera.
Oh yeah.
Still
Oh,
on
is
camera.
this
Well, he's
live?
outside. That's why he's outside.
That's why you're outside.
Yeah.
Next.
Bro, can you grow a beard?
Down in here, yeah, I can grow a pretty.
You
nice
guys
beard.
have your
no mustache.
See,
Antone's
No
voice has
mustache.
changed. I don't know if Brandon's did.
I used to sing like Justin Bieber. So yeah,
Okay.
it did.
So, but now they are giving kids medication to slow that down or
yeah.
even stop
How
it.
is that okay, dude?
It's
wait, why
Who
would,
that's what
says-
I'm talking.
why
do-
would
do
they
you-
why would they want to do that?
because little
6-year-old
boys
boy
don't want
says,
to be boys
yeah,
and girls don't want to be girls.
I want to wear a dress. They're like, okay, son,
So
here's
if
some
they
medicine.
stop the puberty, then everything slows down in developing.
That's crazy.
Where I get fed up with it, because you know what, people can make their own decisions. I love them
Yeah.
anyway. Whatever.
Yeah.
I
You gotta
honestly,
pray for 'em anyway.
as long as you don't shove it down my throat, I don't care. But where it makes me so mad is when they're attacking the children in the classroom, teaching them, you know, oh, it's okay for a guy to be with another guy. No. You don't tell them that. That's the parent's job.
You're
right.
And then, you know, like, oh, it's okay to get hormone blockers. It's okay to dress up like a girl if you're a boy. It's okay for a girl to dress up like a boy if you're a, you know. My mom is a perfect example because she said that growing up, she was always just kind of a tomboy, right?
Right.
Now, she's a woman.
Right.
And she talks about, you know, she can't imagine how much she would have been attacked by the school system and by this liberal ideology that if, you know, oh, you're dressing like a boy, because she grew up without a father because her dad passed away when she was young, right? So she was kind of filling that masculine role, right? And then she would have been just absolutely attacked by the school system nowadays. And, you know, this ideology of, yeah, you can dress up like that. Yeah, keep going. Yeah, you know what? Why don't you go hold hands with the same sex? Like all these different things. And they're attacking the children. If they grow up and they're 23 and they want to make that decision, okay, whatever. Whatever. But don't be trying to like change their biological normalities just to fit your agenda.
Well, and especially when their brains aren't fully
Yeah,
developed, so they
children's
might
minds.
decide one thing, and then a couple of years down the road, they'll be
Right.
like, "Whoa, what was I doing? I don't think that way anymore."
I mean,
Yep.
we all went through that as young kids. There's a time where your curiosity kicks in and you want to know, hey, I want to, why can't I do this? And that's why we have fathers and stuff to say boys don't play with dolls, you know,
Yeah. Well,
or boys
they're
don't
called
do
GI
this.
Joes.
Yeah, well, yeah, but what I mean is like all of my cousins were girls growing up. All of them were girls. And so as boys, you go,
That explains a lot.
yeah, well, but you have somebody there to correct you. The school
Yeah.
system didn't tell you that.
No.
But your dad would say, hey, listen, buddy, come here, let me talk to you. Girl, you can't, this is for girls. This is not for guys. This is not for boys.
You know, we talk about it. We've said it so many times that, you know, it starts in the home.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at this day and age, I mean, I've gone through it, you know, with my own son and broken families. Just it's so prevalent in the world today. And you know, you watch people like Victor Marx,
Mm-hmm.
or, you know, any of those guys that have been through literal hell as children, you know, you can go one of two ways with that.
Mhm.
You know, he talked a lot about his mind splitting as a kid in order to cope with what he'd been through.
Oh yeah, is this
you
the
watch
Victor
that,
Marx
dude?
that his stepdad held a gun to his head?
Oh, he did a lot more than that.
Right, I didn't get to watch the whole thing,
Oh,
but I
man.
watched clips. Yeah.
I watched it with my parents, and we didn't even get to the third episode. I don't
It's
know. Did you
incredible,
watch the
isn't
third
it?
one?
Not yet.
Yeah, there's a third. Like, dude, it's rough because it's hard to go to like understand like this really happens.
hmm
But his is a perfect example of that. The worst happens to our kids at a very young age. And you can go one of two ways. You can go downhill and you can stick into that life and become a part of the world and become a statistic,
And
really.
maybe
Mhm.
repeat the cycle.
And
later down
repeat
the
the
road.
cycle. It's
Yeah.
about cycles, dude. You're raised in just deceit and all this nonsense of the world. You're going to continue that unless you realize like something's wrong here. Something is not, I'm not feeling complete. My heart is empty. There's a hole here. Like I know so many people out there feel that. I have felt it, you know, and it's just, it's the worst feeling ever.
hmm
But that moment that you accept Christ in your heart, that hole is filled because he's there.
Mhm.
That's it. And people just will fill it with anything and everything, drugs, alcohol, anything. It's such an issue.
Oh, for sure.
And not enough people stand against it and, you know, point to Christ, I don't think, you
No.
know?
Well,
And it seems like it's getting even more smaller. You know what I mean?
mhm.
I think what it sounds like to me is that, you know, because we grew up in a time where we saw what used to be normal, what should be normal, and then we saw this new normal come into play, where I fear and I'm worried more about like your brother's generation or your son's generation because they didn't ever
Your
get
nephew?
to, yeah, my nephew, they never got to see what we saw. And so we kind of have that moral compass of like, hey, this is weird. And I think it's causing like a bigger challenge and a bigger role
gap, dude.
and a bigger role for
Well-
the parents to make sure that
Yeah.
they teach their kids right from wrong and to have the Lord be centered right into that because
Right.
You know, I think of that of my daughter. You know, she's only 2.
Mhm.
She's only 2. And by the time she's old enough to think for herself, she won't have to think twice about transgendered kids or kids using litter boxes or any. That's just going to be something that she's like, well, that's just what those people do.
Gosh,
That's,
Dude,
that's
so
not
sad.
weird.
That's sad. And
Dude,
that's
Because that's what it is.
right.
I mean, and that's just saying if by the time she gets that age, we're not all speaking Chinese anyways.
it's all right. You've been talking to your father-in-law too much.
But, right, but still, there's so much in the world that's going to be, like you said, there's a moral compass. Mine was, I mean, there was nobody gay in school. And if they were, we didn't know about it.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it was like, I became an adult and I started delivering beer for Coors for all those years. And that's when I seen my first gay. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't now. You don't have to go very far.
Right. It's a
Yeah.
lot more common.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
that's
it's
something
not
like
close.
what you were talking about. That's what scares me about like for our kids, right?
Mhm.
We don't know what their kids are going to see, what are ours going to see, and what are our grandkids going to see.
I
mean-
and I have so many friends and family that are always like
Oh,
they're like I don't want to bring children into this world. I don't want to have kids because of how scary it is. I don't blame them.
That's a scary mindset to have because
Mhm.
good people have that mindset. And
Right.
and so then
it gets taken advantage of.
it does. It absolutely does. And I think, and I don't mean to interrupt you. I apologize.
No.
But like, it's such a scary mindset.
That's what we
because-
do here, Antone.
Right. Interrupt. But when you have that mindset, that means that more people who think like us don't want to bring kids into it. And now I don't necessarily blame them. Don't get me wrong. I've thought about it myself.
That's how we
But
end our.
how do you exactly? That's how you end your ideology. And so, how do you combat that? Having more kids, promoting. I think, rabbit hole. I think that's where we started losing this is when we started suppressing masculinity. I really, truly do.
Yeah.
I think it's a very
Well,
common thing in our world is suppressing masculinity.
They didn't have to suppress it very hard because men became absent in the family.
Yeah.
That's true.
There was no accountability for men
Mm-hmm.
to stand up and be like, "Oh, you're a dad now. You got to raise this kid."
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are just like, "Oh,
Right.
I want to continue to do
And
this," and
that's-
then that gave it out for the women too because they see, well, if men can be absent, then now
that's-
we can do that.
Well, and not only that,
Now the kids are orphans.
Yeah.
men don't even
It's
step.
crazy, dude.
Because on the other side of that coin, there's a lot of good men out there that badly want to be a part of their kids' lives, but there's women out there that
Yeah.
just take them and run.
Mm-hmm.
They hide, or they just want a paycheck.
Yeah.
And that's what's been happening a lot too. And I'm glad that you brought up accountability because the sins of the flesh has been, that train derailed a few years ago. Like that's just insane.
Oh yeah, it's totally.
But accountability, just not even with sexual morality and stuff like that, but accountability in just general. There is the lawlessness that is going on in this crazy world
Mhm.
where there's no accountability and nobody, there's in a world where it doesn't even seem that people
In a
even
world
don't
where
even
people don't even seem to know what they want. Sorry. That's what we do here is interrupt.
people they don't think about God.
No,
And so it's like the Wild West all over again.
it's like a bad movie, dude.
It is. I mean, you
Like
watch
your
the
worst
videos of the
movie.
people going into the Apple stores and just ripping the cell phones off the walls and just taking and the employees just got to stand there.
Yeah,
And I think in some states
You can
steal
steal, up to like $1,000, and it's not against
$999.
and you won't be arrested.
that's
I'm
why.
You
pretty
know
sure
what I could-
Colorado's like that, isn't it?
I don't know.
Maybe
I'm
Denver.
pretty, and I could be wrong, but I definitely know New York is like that, and I'm pretty sure Denver,
California is like that.
Seattle is like that.
Yep.
Could you? I mean,
Colorado is like that because I just recently talked to a guy that works here at Big R, and he
Oh,
said we're not allowed to stop a shoplifter.
no, and that's been a rule for a very long time.
Bro,
That's been a rule for
I'm
a
going to
long
Big
time.
R. No.
Safeway, since I've been in high school, Safeway was never allowed to step in. Walmart was never allowed to step in. However, if you got arrested, or they call the cops, and if they catch you, then you go to jail for theft. What Kevin is saying is like in New York and California, you can steal up to $1,000 worth of stuff, and there's no repercussion. They're not even going to arrest you. They're not going to come look for you.
and it's because there's not enough police to enforce the law,
Right.
and the whole defunding police back
Yeah.
when that all happened.
Well, and that's the thing.
Their
I
hands
mean,
were tied. They took away their rights
Right.
to enforce.
yeah, and everybody now they're not scared of consequences.
No.
And I
that's
think
the
whether
other
that's-
thing. Is-
if
That's
you're-
what I mean. There's no accountability. There's no
Right.
consequences for their actions.
Whether you're looking at it from a spiritual level or what we're
Moral.
doing, yeah, exactly.
Spiritual, morally.
I mean,
Because people should have the fear that if they're going to steal something or rob an old lady or whatever, they're going to get the crap kicked out of them
Right.
by local bystanders. But if you kick the crap out of somebody, now you're going to be in trouble for standing up and doing what's right.
well, and it's just my cousin was stabbed last weekend,
Yeah,
and the guy got arrested and was out of jail in less than 24 hours.
what?
Yeah, he bonded out
How
because
much was
they
his
thought
bond, bro?
I guess he has a kind of a wealthy family, but it was I don't know what the
And
bond is.
he's got a wealthy family,
They-
and he's stealing pizzas
and they
from Pizza Hut.
that's that cocaine's a heck of a drug.
What a psycho.
But
dude.
here, that's not the only. The detectives never followed up with my cousin when he went to the hospital in critical condition. They thought that he went and got some stitches and went home. So they only charged the guy with an assault charge.
Jeez.
So that's why he got the bond out. So then they call my cousin's wife, you know, the investigator. They got to put this little case together and see how, and they say, you know, well, hey, can we come meet you? Yeah, I'm still in the hospital
He's
with my
about-
husband,
He's about to lose a
who
leg.
has
or-
almost died 3 times. And the detectives went, wait, well, what? He's still in the, like, what? Isn't that your job?
They should have known that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, now they said, well, we're going to have to turn this over to our homicide detectives.
Yeah,
But
it's
do you
attempted-
think-
it's manslaughter at the very least? If,
But the guy's got a rap
Attempted
sheet and he's looking at
manslaughter.
jail time anyways. Do you think he's just sitting at home, like, waiting to go to his bond hearing?
Probably out stabbing more people.
Well,
I bet
he's
he
probably
flee-
out there doing as much drugs as he possibly can before they come and get him again. Thinking about where he's going to go, how he's going to hide.
Yep.
gosh, man.
But this is what I mean. Because they let they're just like, hey, bucko, we need to see you in about, and I bet the bond hearing is for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks out. We need to see you back here. We're going to talk about this. There's no
yeah, there's
punishment,
no obligation
there's
for
no-
him to show up.
There's no accountability there, and it's the Wild West out there. And as a Christian, I look at these atrocities that are happening in our communities. There's been like 5 murders in our community in the last few months.
There was just like 4 people killed in our old neighborhood over there.
Yeah.
in Warriors
Yeah.
Path.
I know. And so it's like the Wild West. And as a Christian, we sit here and I think, you know, all of the older people and elders that we have are, oh, Jesus just needs to come back right now. He needs to come back right now. Well, but we get angry. And what we're supposed to do is pray
Trust.
for these people. I had to pray for the guy that stabbed my cousin. That whatever happens with this whole deal, that he may find God, and God would extend his grace and mercy
Yeah.
on him, not only on him and his family, but my family, my cousins. And I think as a Christian man going in this crazy world, and we sit here and we talk about these sins of the flesh, sexual immorality, no accountability, chaos, we sometimes forget that we just need to, as it says in James chapter 1, verse 1, what we talked about in youth group tonight, is we need to talk to God and have faith that God will get us through it. That we just need to ask him.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's angry and we're going to get angry, and that's our human side, to get angry and stuff like that. We can't help that, but we need to be praying more, gentlemen,
Yeah. And trusting in the
and
Lord.
trusting that it's everything that is going on right now, he already knew was going to happen.
Yeah.
And we need to trust that whatever this plan is that he has, that we have to have faith in him to know that no matter what happens, he's got us. And if that means Jesus is coming back soon, well, we better be ready.
Yeah, that's definitely something I struggle with, because in my mind I'm all, "Ooh, we need to fix it. We need to do what's right and go out swinging." But like, yes, I believe you need to fight and do what's right, of course. But at the same time, you need to have faith and know that it's all in his plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you always gotta remember that you look back on the way Jesus was reflected in the time he was here.
Remember,
Everybody
they
wanted to
hated
see
him first.
Yeah, everybody wanted to see the Messiah come back and crush the Roman Empire, free them from the tyranny. On a white horse. No. He came back and was broken for our transgressions, dude.
Yeah.
This dude did not commit any crimes. He offered a free gift of salvation. And because it was taking them away from their power and their comfort zone of being like, well, I know what God wants, and you're not Jesus, right? You're not the Messiah. They're going to pay for that, but God is so loving that he's going to give them, every one of us, another chance towards the end of the times, you know?
And we're all supposed to act more like Jesus every day. So what does evangelism look like to you guys?
I prayed that today. I was like, Lord, I know I don't act like you often.
Right.
Please forgive me for that,
But-
and help me not do that.
I mean, are we supposed to be, sharing the gospel with the girl at the counter at Walmart?
I think you're supposed to be doing it.
Oh, I know we're
Anybody and
supposed to be
everybody.
doing it, but how uncomfortable is it for? I know Kevin's pretty good at his job. He puts those little pamphlets on everybody's desks and then takes them out of the trash can and puts them back on their desk and shares the gospel. But you kind of have, you got a few people that are not on board, but you got a boss that's on board and stuff. So it's a little easier because you know those people, you see them every day. It's definitely easier for me when I go to FCA.
You're
or I'm
surrounded by
talking to
like-minded-
kids, or I'm here at the church or VBS. I was on a good track of, when I would pay for my things or wherever, and they say, have a good day. I would say, well, you have a blessed day. And then it just got in, and I'm like, that sounds stupid. Don't say that anymore. And so then I stopped doing that. But there has, and I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but I have definitely been standing in a line or been talking to a stranger or just and had it inside me saying, share a little bit of the gospel, share your faith, maybe give a little bit of your testimony. I'm like, they're going to think I'm a loser
Crazy.
or crazy. Have you guys ever been approached by somebody in a grocery store that says, hey, can we pray for you? Or it's usually guys that
I don't
just get out of
spend
prison.
much time in grocery stores.
I do. I'm a people watcher. I love going to grocery stores. I like going to Walmart and just walking around.
Because you're almost 40.
Shots fired. Dude, no, none of the kids in this generation go to grocery stores. They just order it,
Oh, yeah, DoorDash.
DoorDash it, bro. It gets delivered to their home.
Okay. Well,
Dude, that is the whole thing. Like, the devil divide and conquer, bro.
Yeah.
He has put a wedge in the family. He's put a wedge in
But
everything, dude. And yeah.
what about you, Antone? What about opportunities to spread the gospel? Is it easy for you? Is it awkward? Do you already do it?
I think it depends on the situation. I mean, I try to do it as much as I can, but how I do it varies.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not necessarily going up to people and being like, "Do you know Jesus Christ?" Like shaking them, and no, that's not necessarily what I
That'd
do.
be cool if you did, though.
That would be kind of cool, but maybe
Intense, bro.
may turn them away more than anything.
Yeah, no, and that's that's what I mean. I don't mean, but there's
Let
like
the
Rick.
man finish.
I know, but what is Rick always telling us to do? No,
Dude,
go ahead.
that was
Go
my
ahead.
favorite part about Victor Marx when he was a pastor.
Yeah,
Oh, dude. I don't want to spoil it for people that might go watch it. Can we like. Dude, I'll tell you.
Victor Marx is incredible.
Dude,
But, yeah.
he's like, I'm not a pastor.
Well, you could
and
be
this is why.
you
Yeah.
could be punching people with the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, the best way and the way I've been trying to is just being kind, because I feel like, and just loving on people, because I feel like that's what our world lacks the most is kindness. I mean, you go anywhere, if you go to food services anymore, like restaurants, nobody's nice. Nobody's nice to the
Everybody's in
waiters.
a
The waiter's
rush.
not nice. Yes, everybody's just me. We need to go. We have something to do. And, just saying hello to people in the grocery store, just smiling at them.
Smiling. Yeah.
And just different just trying to be kind and loving on people. Like this Night to Shine, I'm so excited to go do this event just to go love on people.
Yeah.
You know, I know I can struggle with being kind. I have a bad temper, and that's definitely a thorn in my side, is being nice to people. But that's something I've been really mentally just working on, and spiritually, you know, praying to God help. You know, I really need help just being kind to people. And so I think that's the biggest way. And that's something I experienced as a state officer too. You know, a lot of people just lack love from authority figures. And coming in as a state officer, you know, we have that platform, but just going in and just loving on people and building that relationship with them, I felt was the most effective way to have a ministry.
100%. I think that's like, I haven't had that many opportunities to really like share the gospel with strangers. You know, I've talked to a lot of my friends about it, and, you know, working on cars now, a lot of our clientele is like-minded. So if I'm driving them back to the house or something, we'll always be talking about it. But I think that's always what I've had, you know, been blessed with a gift of having that kindness in my heart, because I don't even really have a temper or anything. I mean, you can ask him. I just
Try to get it out of him.
yeah. So I don't know. I think people notice it too. If you do just exude that kindness and that love for people, people are like, "Whoa, why are you being so nice to me?" Or "Why are you being so nice to that guy?" You know, and they realize like there's something different about that person.
That's exactly it. I completely agree. You know, if you build that relationship and create that bridge, then the door will open to talk about Jesus.
Right.
If you come in guns blazing, then it's going to turn them away more than anything. And so I completely agree. That's exactly it. That's kind of what I was looking for, how to say it. That's perfect. Yeah. That'll open that door and create that bridge to where you can say, yeah, I'm because Jesus loves me, so I got to love you. You know, like you just find ways to, and then that'll plant that seed. And that's something I learned in my facilitation training, speech training, whatever. When you are teaching somebody about something, you're not going to change their life in that sudden moment.
No.
You're going to plant that seed, and then
You
that
may
seed will
never
grow.
see it too. You may never see it come to fruition.
Exactly. You may never see. You will, about 99% of the time, you will never know the impact you have on people. But if you plant that seed and let it develop, let it grow, then it'll start. Then they may water it, and that's the thing.
Right.
You put it in their court, and then maybe they'll water it, and then that'll spark that interest, and then it'll slowly start to sprout and grow, and then become this beautiful flower. Right?
Yeah.
You're not going to instantly just plant a flower and bam, their life has changed. No, you create that.
Pow! Right in the kisser.
Exactly. No, but I mean, you create that, and then it'll slowly come to fruition. It won't just all of a sudden be there.
Yeah. The other powerful way I see it in my life, you know, Adam already touched on it, is sharing snippets of your testimony.
Mm-hmm.
You tell people a little bit about what you've been through,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, most people be like, "Wow, geez, that's pretty rough,"
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, "How'd you get through that?"
Mm-hmm.
And that's the moment right there, or a simple, well, the only way I make it through is through Christ. And then that throws people off. I've had that happen many times where people are like, "What?"
Mm-hmm.
They're like, "Oh, you're one of those." I'm like, "Yeah,
Right.
that's how I made it through." man."
Right. You're just being honest.
Right.
Yeah. And then they're just like, they're floored. They're like, "Whoa, geez, there's something there." And whether they make fun of you in that moment, or they're just like, they walk away and they're like, they're thinking about it, you
Right.
know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's so important because, you know, as humans, we all want to be heard. You know, we don't want to feel alone. And a lot of us do, you know, but then those moments, that's why music is so powerful, because you listen to a song, you're like, man, that this is meant for me. Like, this guy is the same as me. And, you know, you're like, you feel that connection.
Yeah, the music is really powerful. And when I did the short video on Christians and the music they should listen to, and I really sat and thought about that, and we hit the nail on the head when we talked about that. The last podcast was the discernment that the Holy
Yeah.
Spirit puts inside you when he sets up camp, and you put on a playlist or whatever, random playlist on your Spotify, and a song comes on that you might have liked when you were younger, and then you pay attention to the words, and you're like, don't know if I like this song anymore. I was listening to a podcast today while I was painting, and it's one that I enjoy. But the conversation that they were having was getting so insane that I
Vulgar.
had to turn it off.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, that's enough.
You're like, I'm checking out.
Yeah, it was just it was very
But look at that.
very
it,
rated R.
it works in the same aspect, opposite.
Mhm.
You know, and you talk like that and you present yourself in that way, people do flock to that,
Mhm.
you know, and they can get trapped in that.
And I've noticed really too a huge way to evangelize just to smile at somebody.
Yeah, it's like these guys are saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, why are you so happy? What's your deal?
Yeah, that's definitely
Yeah. Like,
contagious, but
I'm gonna die soon, though.
but just walking across the parking lot and somebody's coming out of the store as you're going in, just to kind of make that little bit of eye contact and smile.
And say, hey, hi, how are you?
I hope that's not your
You-
smile.
Huh?
I hope that's not your smile you give up.
No.
What was it? Let me see. Oh,
That's a picture right
No,
there.
and what I was talking about,
that's the
what,
thumbnail.
what I was talking about, what Rick is always asking us, out in Bible studies, like, well, guys, do we need to go hang
Boots
out?
on the ground.
Do we need to go hang out in the Walmart parking lot? Do we need to go stand outside the mall? And as people are coming in, just say, hey, and hand out like the tracts.
Tracks.
Our,
Yeah,
our
they're
mixtape.
called tracts. They're the little pieces of paper that have the salvation message on them.
Oh.
That's what we handed out at the parade.
And it says Street Smart Christian on it?
No, it's a Living Word Community Church. But it had the salvation message on it, and it had candy in it because there was parade. And then
Oh, that's cool.
and so he was like, "Do we pass those out? Just like hang out the front
Is
door
he
at the mall?"
trying to get us more listeners?
No, for church, just it's the salvation message. So spreading the gospel to
Yeah.
people by saying, "Hey, how you doing?"
Hi, how are you?
Yeah,
They'd be like, I'm not taking a piece of candy from you,
Well,
stranger.
yeah, I wouldn't give them candy. It would
Dude,
just
there
be
ain't
the
no
piece of
parents out
paper.
there teaching kids not to take
Yeah, that's
candy from
true.
strangers no more.
True.
Okay.
No. Yeah, you don't get in with strangers. Now we have Uber.
And then we had the Uber killer.
That's just what.
We live in a wild,
Dark.
scary world,
Yeah.
gentlemen.
Any final thoughts?
And we're so privileged to be protected by our Lord and Savior, man.
For sure.
Like, no matter what you go through, I'm going back to Victor again, but something that he said in his testimony was just like, it's so powerful. You may think you're alone out there and you're just getting beat down.
Mhm.
You are getting beat down. And as soon as you start to get back up, you get kicked again. But that whole time that you're there, Christ is there.
Mm-hmm.
He already went through this. The worst that you could possibly think of. Just read what happened to Christ on the cross. He has gone through it and he's there with you. He took that already. You're going through it. It doesn't diminish the fact that what you're going through is horrible, but he's there with you.
Yeah. And he
You're
did
not
that.
done. You're not done. You
No.
will make it through with him. You just need to turn to him.
I was having a conversation on the phone with a sister in Christ that comes to church with us. She kind of fell off coming to church a little bit, and then she heard on the radio a message, and it was the message of the cross.
So powerful, dude.
And that
It can bring you to
he-
tears.
He did this so that you can start over and over again with no repercussions. He knows you're going to fail. He knows you're going to get hurt. He knows you're going to be sad. He knows you're going to be mad. He knows you're going to be happy. And he knows you're going to make mistakes. And he took that punishment. Says, start again. Put your sandals off. Start again.
Keep going.
Keep going. and I'll get you through it. And like we talked about again in James chapter 1, verse 1, talk to him and have faith. And he will get you through. He will guide you in the right direction.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So with that, guys, if you're going to talk about it, though,
You gotta be about it.